Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Hi, lots of waving, lots of familiar
Hello.
faces. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So excited to see you all again. Fortunately, I don't see the names of the people who don't have their videos on, but that's okay. Welcome to this Vagrein channeling event, the first one of 2024. I'm so excited. It is officially, yeah, the 5th year I'll be channeling now. Is that it, or 6th? I don't even know how the math works, but I started in 2019, so it's a milestone year, I suppose. And I'm so happy to have all of you here with me. There's some of you that I don't know, and a lot of you that I do know, and I'm so excited that you guys are here. I am really already feeling Vagreen's energy, so I'm like rambling, saying the same thing over and over again, but that's okay. They often allow me to feel like a fool so that I can relax into that and go, well, I guess it's not, it doesn't really matter anything about me anyway. And I can laugh at myself and have a good time with it. So, welcome everyone for being here.
Yeah.
There's no specific theme that came through today. Sometimes they'll be like, okay, we want to talk specifically on this. So, that's good news for anyone who has questions because it means that the floor is going to be open for, I think, the majority of the session, actually. And they also informed me that they'd be happy to channel for slightly longer today than normal. So normally this meeting lasts about an hour in total, but they've let me know that they're happy to channel for just about an hour. So if you guys do need to leave an hour's time from now and they haven't finished, there is the replay. So, don't worry about that and don't feel like you're going to be missing out on anything. But I'm, pleased to say that Vagrein wants to hang around with us for a little bit longer. Perhaps, after the last session, some questions weren't finished to be answered and they felt a bit rushed. So they've let me know that I'm going to be here for a little while until they're done today. What else? If you do not want to ask your question on camera, which is going to be recorded, or you don't want your voice on the recording, then feel free to ask your question in the chat. Chantal, Wave Chantal, will be helping us out again as our moderator for today's session. And as per the other sessions, for those of you who don't know, or for those of you who do know, just go ahead and make your intention known by raising your hand, or was it putting a request in the chat, Chantal? Is that easier for you, actually?
If you raising your hand if you want to do the live speaking.
Exactly. So if you guys want to ask a question, raise your little iconic hand. You'll find that under reactions down at the bottom. Is that correct? Yeah, the little happy face. Yes, if you click on the little happy face at the bottom, or I think on your phone menu, then there's a raise hand icon, and Chantal will be able to see right on your video that your hand is raised. So people are still coming in. If Chantal, are you getting notifications when they are coming in? Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll stop focusing on that. And let's see what else. Just come back into this Zoom if you get kicked off, and I'm super excited to get started. So just to, raise your actual physical hand if you've been to a session before. Okay, great. The majority of you have, some of you haven't. So welcome to any newcomers that are here now. I'm super excited for you to be here. And if you do have any questions about how it works, again, just pop it in the chat and we'll be happy to address it. I'll, of course, go off into trance, but if Chantal has an eye on the chat, then she can help you out if there's some sort of technical difficulty or if you're having any trouble. So these videos are recorded and we will be sharing them with you after via email. Now, my mind is completely blank and it's 4 minutes past the hour. So I'm going to start getting ready. As I'm going to trance, I invite you guys also just to tune into yourself. Let me see if this is transcribing as well. Okay. So yeah, you guys just tune into yourselves and I will see you at the end of the session, I guess, unless there are any questions before we get started. Does anyone need to know anything from me, or I'm free to head off? Awesome. Okay, so I will see you guys at the end. And above all, and as always, enjoy yourselves. Oh, my phone is doing weird things. Don't want that. Isn't that strange? You go to turn off the volume on this thing and it does God knows what. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Good now to you. We welcome you again to this delightful collection of beings, these beings who are interested in expansion in the most efficient and playful ways possible. Thank you for being here. We are indeed pleased to have this option, this opportunity to be with you in this now moment. As our vessel already offered, there will be much time for conversation in this now, in this particular encounter, as we do know there is much to get through in the collective. We know that you, as emissaries, as ambassadors to the collective, are here to then bring your light, shine whatever information you may remember as you are in this encounter, in interacting with us and with one another, to those corners of the world that each of you find yourself in, shining as lighthouses to guide the ships, guide the collective into the port of unity consciousness, into the port of what is a remembering of home. With that, we open this experience, we open this connection to whatever question first comes to mind.
All right, Lise, go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Vagrein.
Hello.
I would like today to ask you some questions about some of the rules to this game, because it's kind of a game, it's kind of illusion. I'm well aware of that, but I'm also aware of there's some kind of rules we have, I think, collectively agreed to. Is that correct?
Yes, you are choosing the rules both on an individual and collective level.
Yes. So what I would like you to elaborate on is, I know ultimately we are all one, but simultaneously we have been split out to multiple fractions of the one to gain more knowledge and more understanding of who we are. Is that correct too?
It is in some ways. You are perceiving it in that way, but the more accurate description might be that instead of you having been split into separate entities, which you never have been, is that from the eternal oneness, There have been, and we use this phrase often, pinholes poked into the framework, the skin, so to speak, of the oneness from which each of you, as oneness, looks and has the perspective. This perspective, of course, including your body, including your personal histories, including your personality, including your specific desires, your themes, your programs, the things that you wanted to come into experience. But you looking out from this one perspective on this pinhole of the skin of the all that is, see things extremely differently than someone looking out of a pinhole that is slightly off to the left or off to the right. It does not mean that from where you are looking, you are different energy. It only means that your perspective from that where you are looking, projecting outwards, is creating and casting different compositions of light and shadow onto the plane or frame of existence itself. It is hard to understand because it is almost as if your 3D world is inverted and you are actually on the inside of the 3D world as opposed to upon it when you are thinking about it in this particular way. So no, you are not, even in your individuation, ultimately separate in any way whatsoever, but you will have a belief that you are because you are staring only outside that hole and not within. In the majority of cases, of course, those gathered here do often turn around and go, hey, look, we're all one.
Okay, okay. But there's also much talk about that we, as you said before, taking individual decisions and collective decisions. But as you explain it, that should be the same, shouldn't it?
Yes, it is indeed the same, which is why we also often, when you would like to empower yourself, remind you that you could, in any given moment in time, shift reality entirely. Of course, it is not necessarily what is going to occur for you because you did not choose to have all of your preferences met at the magical, miraculous expression of things immediately shifting in your direction. You did decide to look out this particular pinhole specifically because you wanted to. And you did also want to see the world that you are creating on the other side of it. And you wanted the experience of temporal existence. You wanted the experience of physical existing. And in these desires and the collective desire of the world that you are creating, you are having a jolly good time of it, though it does not seem like it if you project yourself outside of the isness that you are and then believe yourself to be only the being on the surface of that planet.
Okay, but does that, but is it correct that even though we are all one, if we are looking inside instead of out of the little pinhole, we're still the ones looking out of the little pinholes have individual experiences, life experiences to collect to the whole.
Yes, except it is inaccurate to say the ones that are looking out of the pinhole because the ones are not plural. It is
No.
the one that is looking out of the pinhole. It is the pinhole itself that gives you the illusion that there is a difference between one pinhole and the other.
Yeah, okay. It's very difficult for us here when we are in this reality to
Yes, we know.
understand.
Does have much abstraction to it, but we would also say that it is unnecessary for you to hold on to this concept very tightly. It is not necessary for your life. It is functional at times to have access to something of this degree, but it is not necessary, which is why it is forgotten in the majority of cases. What is necessary is every time you do forget and you believe yourself to be suffering or you believe yourself to be slipping into deep levels of separation, be it hatred or judgment, you do remind yourself that there is that aspect of you that is already aware of your oneness. Therefore, is not necessary for you as your human individuation to grab onto that, to hold on to that, or to achieve that in its lifetime even. It is not necessary, though it can be of aid to you to have this information at hand.
Yeah, and also it applies to the ones that we love in this life, our kids and so on, even though they don't have the recognition that I do I also remind myself, if they're going through a bad time, so to say, that they also is just a part of the one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, very fine. Thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you, Lise. Richard, your turn. Please unmute, Richard.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to know more about the channeling process. I had 40 years ago, I had a full trance medium telling me my angel name. And could you also know what this name is if I ask you? I mean, do you read this in an Akashic record or the field, or what is the process? Or could you tell anything more about this channeling process?
We do not have access to the name that your friend provided with you, as you have connections with multitudes, if not infinite, names in the same way that we do. We do not function on that particular way. These questions are unrelated. That is hopefully a satisfactory answer to that one. The second part about how channeling itself works is that you all have access to certain vibrational frequencies or informational frequencies, so to speak, that are available to you in the ethers in the same way your life force energy is available to you, in the same way that other aspects are available to you. And in the tuning of your vessel, or in the natural configuration of your vessel, you may or may not connect with specific energies that are of a frequency within your reach. In the case of this particular vessel, the frequency that is within reach is this particular frequency. But the difference between, say, a trance channel or any channel and someone who does not believe themselves to be able to be a channel is, in fact, that belief itself, or a holding on to a belief. You do not necessarily need to believe that you can be a channel to channel, but you do need to not believe that you can't.
Okay. Thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Carlos, you're up.
Thank you, Chantal. Hi, Vagrein. Hello, Vagrein.
Hello.
It's an honor to be with you. Thank you. Thank you. I have a question. Our dear Jessie had recommended us the human design as a tool. And in that tool, they recommend a strategy to make decisions. And in my case, the decision is an inner response. It's touched with an old doubt, with an old hesitation that has to do with a certain confusion, a certain difficulty to discern between intuition and fear or desire. Sometimes I don't know, is my intuition or my fear who is speaking me physically to me. Can you tell me something about that, please?
We are seeing where the difference between the two lies within you.
Excuse me?
We are addressing or analyzing where the difference between these two words lies within you. In other words,
Yes.
fear normally will come with a lack of clarity.
Yes.
And intuition may introduce doubt that can be perceived of as a lack of clarity. But that lack of clarity generally comes from the doubt itself, the sensing that perhaps you should, for example, you have been invited to go on a party on a boat, and you do not have anything against boats in general, but something says to you that you would prefer not to go to that party. Intuition does not normally talk to you in the language of fear. It does not normally say, do not go on the boat or it will sink. It may say, you know what, tomorrow I have an early meeting and I would actually prefer to have a couple of hours of sleep. Or it may say, the last time I went onto one of these boat parties, I got a little bit seasick. Now that boat might sink. But normally, your intuition will not use the language of do not do this or else. That is more of a fear-based response. That is more of your conditioning or your, and fear is one of these energies that is very much conditioned within you. So the analogy perhaps wasn't potent, but that is one way you can discern between these two energies. Fear often will also have the energy of attempting to predict the future, trying to figure out the way to remain most safe. So it is not your inner decision making that tells you not to take a risk. It is often fear. And you will find that fear will mostly have the, especially if it goes against what is correct for you, a negative or lower frequency vibration within your system. You will almost resent yourself for having fear. Does this bring some clarity?
Yes, yes, too much. Thank you very much.
We thank you.
All right, Chastity.
Thank you. It's with gratitude we meet here today. I appreciate this opportunity.
We thank you.
From my limited perspective, is it close or correct to close to say that some beings came here with specific blueprints to activate or restructure what some may call ley lines or the neurology of the planet? And if so, is that are we seeing ancient gate systems open, or are we seeing new structures altogether? And how does that fit into the concept of these being artificial intelligences?
So yes, it is correct that some of you have come for that purpose. They are ancient and new. We know that you will understand this paradox. The intelligence is not artificial, as there is no such thing as artificial intelligence outside of the definitions that you humans are giving it. But you have not spent enough time analyzing your own intelligence to understand where it is that comes from. So the analysis that many are making, including now on our planet, about what consciousness is, what intelligence is, and how it is transmitted, received, and then recommunicated, is not entirely accurate. You are accurate, however, to say that the planet does have these systems. They are the equivalent of your neurons, and they are flowing around this particular material configuration in the same way you have electricity running throughout your bodies. In the reawakening or reactivating of them, there is a remembering as well and a raising of consciousness on the level of the planetary grid.
Thank you. I think that is efficient. I appreciate it.
And we thank you.
Thank you, Chastity. Alexandra, your turn.
Thank you. Hello, Vagrein.
Hello.
Can you tell me, please, what is mean for me the ringing in my ears, mostly of the right ear?
The ringing in the ears, or tinnitus, as you often call it, is both a call to listen and a call to hear, which are two different aspects. It is also often what can be considered continuous or remaining of a upgrade and up-leveling on the physical system to be able to hear more. We know that it can bring much irritation, but in the beings we speak with regularly, normally it resolves on its own at the stage in which the acceptance not only of the irritation or the physical manifestation or what seems to be physical manifestation is integrated into the system. In other words, going, well, this is just how things are now. And the releasing of a resistance to hear whatever it is coming through on a non-physical or metaphysical level for you, psychic level.
Okay, thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. Jose, you're up. We can't hear you, Jose. Sorry. We can't hear.
Unplug your headset, that might work.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, we'll try the next one. I think he's saying. Okay. Freya Dawson.
Hello, Vagrein.
Hello.
My question relates to our relationship with the natural environment. And I have all my life been very aware of the effect that we have on animals and plants and the environment in general. And in my direct experience, I notice pollution of the air and the water. I notice animals harmed and killed and trees. And I have read your book, or both books, many times, and I've recently reread the chapter Navigating Current Events. And I would like to, and you say there, and I think it's relevant to this, that that we should simply focus on what we prefer to see in the world. And yet, I want to know how to change my belief that humans are causing this harm to plants and animals at an ever increasing rate, and that I think I'm not doing enough. So do I just ignore what I see in front of me? I guess that can't be the answer, but also I do try and focus on the beauty and my relationship with plants and animals and the environment. And yet I'm still left with this feeling that I'm not doing enough. So do you have anything to share on that?
Yes, the reason why one focuses on their preference is not to hide their head in the sand. It is not to avoid the issues that they see that are not to their preference. The reason why one does that, and the reason why we would counsel towards that, is because when you are focusing on your preference and have learned and trained yourself to do so almost exclusively, your vibration is raising because you are looking for the things that are working well. You are looking for what is already functioning, what is already going better, what is already improving in the direction that you would like to see more improvement going in. At this point in time, you will have access to your own inspiration for problem solving for some of the things that you see that could be improved as well. In your raising of your vibration and looking for those things that feel good to you, when you notice the things that do not, you do not have your vibration take a hit. In fact, the element of guilt that you are feeling, or the element of I am not doing enough that you are feeling, is a indication that your vibration on this particular topic is not yet high enough, or that your vibration in general is not yet high enough to come up with active solutions, aligned active solutions that come to you naturally from your inspiration. Do not fear. Your desire to have a clean planet is valid. Your desire and passion to care for the animals and the plants is valid. You are heading towards a version of yourself that is in grade 2 or capable of helping out with this particular thing. And raising your vibration is the fastest way to do so. So, part of that might be narrowing your focus to the things that are working, or narrowing your focus to your immediate or more close situation. We will use even the word environment as it does apply, and see where it is that you can take small actions. Because no, you cannot, as a one being, clear the entire ocean of debris. But you can go down to the beach and pick up bottle caps. You can go and save some turtles. You can do very many things. And when you are doing so, well, lo and behold, inspiration strikes, and you've suddenly, in the moment time, drawing in the sand, invented a machine that does all this work for humans, that is far more efficient, that no one has ever thought of before. And now, 10 years' time, 20 years' time, 50 years' time, your life mission is complete, and you have cleaned all the oceans. You do not know when inspiration is going to strike. The reason why you align yourself with the highest possible thing that you can feel good about is because you are then allowing God or the universe or all that is, or source energy, whatever words you would like to use for this topic, to work its miracles through you.
Okay, so focusing on the beauty and the relationship that I have in my immediate environment will raise my vibration over time, and inspiration will arrive as it is meant to, as to what to do in each now moment. Is that
exactly? Yes,
yeah.
Correct.
So the guilt, and I think it's not so much my immediate environment, but it's, watching a documentary about the destruction of the Amazon, or about the ice caps melting, or species going extinct. It's that broader media that is most confronting, and I suppose I always have a choice whether to engage with that or whether to return my focus to the beauty in my own garden, or the birds outside my window, or what do you think about the relationship with that, the broader information that's coming at us through the media about those issues?
You will notice that the media does not have your best interests nor your empowerment in its intentions. Therefore, much that you are consuming, whether it be documentary, news story, or information that you find even around the dinner table, is not actually meant for you to raise your vibration. It is meant to lower your vibration. It is meant to make you feel powerless and hopeless. Therefore, you would need to lean more upon the other aspects that make you feel better throughout your day. Perhaps purchasing something, perhaps eating something, as opposed to going outside, yes, and feeding those beautiful birds that are in your garden, who perhaps did not find as much nourishment as they normally do because something had occurred to a tree nearby in a park, but you have the ability to give them new seed. So the things that you are consuming that you have no ability to control or no impact over are being shown to you on a regular basis so as to make sure that you do not feel empowered in your immediate life.
Okay, so that's quite contrary to my conditioning, and I think a lot of people's conditioning, but it is a relief to hear that, because I know that watching those documentaries makes me feel bad.
Yes.
So that is an indication that it is not aligned with my highest purpose.
That is correct.
Is that correct? Thank you. Thank you very much.
We thank you.
Thank you. Jose, do you want to try again?
What about now? Do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Thank you. Very pleased to be here. So we seem to be in the middle of a series of fractal-like layers of scale in our perception of the universe. Do they have a limit or continue infinitely? And is there a discrete fundamental grid consistent with integer numbers and ratios, or is it all fundamentally mushy-mushy?
It is infinite, and at some point, the only limit to it is the fact that you cannot perceive that level of abstraction outside of conceptually. So you would not be able to perceive very much into that. Did you use the words mushy mushy? Because that is correct.
Okay. Does electromagnetism play a fundamental role in shaping the apparent structure and form of matter at every level of scale? And could it also be considered as a medium or tool through which consciousness interacts with or perceives the physical world?
Yes.
Okay. What is time in its true fundamental nature, and how can it relate the practicality of a monotonic source of regular events with the human subjective perspective of time? Sorry.
Well, time in its actual or real definition does not exist at all. More accurately, it is the human perception of, or human creativity, if you would say, or the creativity of consciousness in its human form that has chosen to have the ability to storytell, to have evolution at all, to have movement, because without, as you know, time, there can be no frames, there can be no before and after. So it is an extremely creative medium, so to speak, to be able to interact with the story. And this aspect of consciousness did desire the perception of movement. But as you know, there's also the staticness of the all that is, in that if everything is moving all at once, if everything is light all at once, well, all you have is an open field of nothingness or of everythingness. Therefore, there is no movement, there is no time, there is no location, there is no evolution, and yet this is impossible to contain because there's also no container. That fractal aspect that you spoke of, if you would like to imagine it, would go out infinitely in all directions, in time, in location, in all forms of matter, inside and out. And that is getting close to what reality is. But human perception is very close to what you perceive on a moment-to-moment basis. You are awake, you have your day, you go to sleep, and you repeat up until such point as you do not.
Okay. And lastly, how fundamental is the story
Fundamental to what?
to the human experience, like as a base for understanding everything? Is everything a story?
Well, nothing is ultimately fundamental to anything else at all. The story is not here because it is important. Your life does not exist because it is important. There is nothing to do and nowhere to be. It exists for the sheer entertainment of it, for the pleasure of it, for the curiosity of it, for the creation of it, for the playfulness of it. There is nothing that is necessary, there is nothing that is mandatory, there's nobody and nothing that is making these sort of evaluations. But you as a creator can decide in each moment what is and is meaningful or is not meaningful, what is or is not important, what is or is not worth living for. And that is one of the beautiful aspects of being human and of being a creator.
Thank you very much.
We thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Robin, you're up.
Thank you, Chantal. Thank you, Jesse, and thank you, Vagrein.
Thank you.
I asked before about some debilitating illnesses that I've had for over 30 years. And Vagrein, you had said that I had agreed to it and that it was an invitation to myself. I've always wondered if I had agreed to something before I got here, and I'm really open to that. But on the other hand, I feel as though I really abandoned the person that I am here without any information and not being able to understand that, and it's caused a lot of unrelenting pain and a lot of, frankly, suffering. Why wouldn't I have been given a way to understand what was happening? And it seems like it's just been 30 years of wasted time and pain for nothing. What's the point?
First, we would like to say that we hear your question, we hear your suffering, and that we would like to have you know that you are held by the universe, you are held by the all that is, in perfection, in love. The suffering is comprehensible. It is anyone who had had your experiences would feel the way that you feel. To answer your question as to why you abandoned yourself here without a user's manual, without a guidebook on how to navigate any of this, it is because you and many like you do have much faith in yourself. So when you took on this particular theme in this incarnation, you did not believe that you would have quite such a hard time of it. You knew, yes, that it would be difficult, but you did not for a moment doubt that each moment of pain and suffering would not be in vain. From your human perspective, you said you've wasted these years. We would argue, and so would your higher self, that they are not wasted because you are the compassionate being that you are today because of your experiences. You are the seeker or the finder, shall we say, because of your experiences. You are someone who is in touch with the human experience on an intimate level, ways that others may never, and you would pray never, would have to have on their own skin, in their own bodies, in their own beingness. And these are some of the themes that you had wanted. It is hard also to hear that anyone would want something that you have been going through, because why would they? You ask yourself, and you are angry at times with yourself and say, well, why would I take this on? You took it on because you knew, back to the conversation that we were having a moment ago, that you get to assign meaning, that you get to decide what is and isn't valuable in your life. And that you, beyond any suffering you've had till now, have been stronger than that. This is part of your theme, and we do encourage a continued investigation as to the reasons or the things that it brings up for you, because you are in a state of being challenged quite frequently, are you not?
I think Robin's been cut off. We'll come back to her if she comes back.
Yes.
Next up is Micheline or Micheline. Please unmute. Okay.
Yes. Hi. I would like to ask a question about astrology, actually. We have had astrology in our human experience for so long, and now all of a sudden there are switches in planets that are interesting, for example, Pluto going into Aquarius and so on. And I wanted to know whether whether planets have a function or a power over us humans? And also, what are the consequences really of planet shifts, especially this one that is supposed to be so important for the next 20 years? And my other question, maybe it would be answered in the same way. We are part of the Milky Way galaxy. Are there other planets that we don't even know, other galaxies that have some effects on us? And also, what is the, for example, the solar flares and so on? It seems that we are bombarded from every way, and we have a lot of energies. Thoughts are energies, this, that, and we have to navigate all of this with our limited capacities. So actually, I just wanted to have some clarification.
Yes, so astrology or planets do not have a direct effect on you. In other words, they're not attempting to have an effect on you, but in the observation of them and of the observation of the occurrences around those particular energies, you have, yes, created in your collective the ability to be affected by your planets. Therefore, it is true or accurate. That particular system, it has been studied enough so that there is some value to it for those to whom it feels there is value, as any systems would be. Any abilities to understand oneself, a tool, so to speak, to understand your particular being of influenced by other or external, what seems to be external sources of energy, whether it be solar flares or configurations of the planets from your perspective within the sky, because of course it is from your perspective only that the planets are in a specific configuration. If you were, like you said, in another galaxy, you would not see this particular configuration. Therefore, also, yes, there are many multitudes of planets, each of them influencing you not only in your current plane of existence, but in all of the parallel realities of existence. So there is a parallel reality also in which you do not have Pluto entering into Aquarius. You have other things occurring. At each and every point in time, the bombardment that you used as a term of everything coming at you can be reframed as offerings as opposed to attacks. In that you do have access to infinite sources of energy. You talked about the human's limited potential. We would say that there is no limit on your potential. There's only a limit on your imagination and a limit on your faith in your imagination. So if something like astrology is serving you and it is helping you to comprehend yourself, it is helping you to navigate your day-to-day experience, it is helping you to raise your vibration because you delight in it, it is helping you to understand others around you in the way that they work or move or interact, then it is a wonderful thing for you to be playing with. If not, it is something that you can leave on the wayside as easily as you leave landscape gardening, if that is not something that is interesting to you. Because you could just as easily read a blade of grass or tea leaves and have similar or completely different understandings of the universe and how it works. There's no clarification for us to be able to give you on this system or on any other, because it truly is an offering for you to decide whether or not it is something that is relevant to you and whether or not you will choose to use it for yourself.
Thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you. Shate, you're up.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Vagrein, thank you for taking my question. There's been a major change in my work arena in the last few weeks, and I'm looking for some guidance or reframing on how I can use this to continue my growth. I feel like a lot has burned off in the last few months and continues to, and I just wanted to hear your perspective on this, please.
Well, this is something you have been asking for some time, and therefore it is something that can be, of course, overwhelming or can include some level of fear. But let us go back to our conversation with our friend earlier about the difference between fear and intuition. As we said before, fear is often peppered by doubt or by the indication that something needs to be done to prevent some potential harm, whereas intuition does not have an entire outcome in mind when it comes to you. As you move or moved in this now past tense towards wanting shifts within your career level, you did not move or have that impulse based upon fear. You did not say, if I do not shift in my career, actually, in some ways you did, but you did not say, if I do not shift in my career, I will be unhappy for the rest of my life. But you did say to yourself, you know what, something does need to shift. And in your saying to yourself, something needs to shift, you did not know in which way that would be. When you ask the universe to give you something, it does. This is information for all of you, in fact. When you ask for something you want, the universe will bring it to you. But it will not bring it to you in the convoluted, complicated ways that you imagine that it should. It will bring it to you in the most direct fashion that you will allow it to bring it to you. Now, as shifts are occurring, and like you said, many things burnt away, you can be feeling like you are not holding the reins to your own life. We would say, hang in there. You are not on a wild horse, you are on a track, and it is the universe who is guiding the train. Does this help?
Yes, it helps a lot, and it connects to some of the answers you gave on like going to the beach and picking up bottle caps, because I
Yes.
can just enjoy the places where there's something for me to enjoy and not try to convolutedly solve everything. So yes, very, very helpful. Thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you. Esther, your turn.
Hello, Vagrein.
Hello.
So I wanted to ask you if you can give some information about energy leaks in the energetic body, to explain it a little bit, because I think I have had it for many years, if not all my life, and I've tried many techniques, and it feels like I can close it, but then it keeps opening, and I was wondering if you can give me as well some advice so that I can finally feel my body protected then as a whole, because I feel like maybe there's a part that's missing. I don't know. Thank you.
There's nothing missing of you, but we are sensing there is a lot of feeling that is wanting to be felt. And you are indeed spending much energy trying to prevent yourself from feeling certain emotions that you are preferring not to feel, for fear perhaps of remembering where these emotions came from in the first place, whether it be from core wounds or experiences that you've had. But there is a amount of sorrow in your system that you would do well to allow yourself to feel through. The energy leaks that you are perceiving of are because it is far more exhausting to avoid your feelings, and you are requiring much energy to maintain what is wanting to be felt. You also have the tendency to, instead of feeling what you would like, or what your beingness would like to be finished with or rid of, you have a tendency to want to give your energy to others. We would say for you, it would be well to place the focus on yourself for some time and to truly allow yourself to feel held by yourself, to truly come to yourself and give yourself everything that you ever wanted from this world, from another. Allow yourself to really feel safe within your own arms. Does this help?
Yes, thank you.
We thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read a question from the chat. What would be a way to heal ancestral wounds, or how would one heal ancestral wounds?
You all have so many multitudes of lifetimes that were required to be lived so that your parents could meet, so that you could be created in physical form. And your existence itself is already destined to be some of the process of healing anything that has come before you. The question often, and we do not hear the asker, but the question is often peppered with the sentiment of, there is something wrong with me that I have no control over because this wounding came from my ancestors. While wounding may be in your system, while it may be ancestral and therefore not something you can trace back to your own timeline, you are a product of the collective, you are a product of all that has come before you, and you are a sovereign being. So, we would say you heal your ancestral wounds or trauma in the same way you heal any other. You acknowledge it, you hold compassion for it, you time travel even to the beings involved. In the case of ancestors, perhaps you know the story, perhaps you do not, and you have to time travel in your imagination on an abstract level. And you be the person that yourself or those beings would have wanted to have in their storyline, whether it be the caretaker, or it be the diplomat, or it be the peacemaker, or it be the one who accepts their faults, or it be the one who says they are right when everyone says they are wrong, whether it be the one who saves them from the witch hunt, or it be the one who says, I love you even if you are not X, Y, or Z. You heal your wounds in this way. You be the being who is already healed. You be the one who is not a victim to itself, not replaying stories, but instead acknowledging them, holding compassion for them, forgiving them. That is the work, whether it be an ancestral trauma. And again, we will remind you that our definition of trauma is simply feelings that have not been allowed through the system yet. No one has trauma. Nothing in itself is traumatic. Beings have feelings that want to be felt. And in the feeling of them is the release of the energy that creates them in the first place. So this is what you do. You give yourself the time and the space and the presence to feel whatever needs feeling, and then you allow yourself to go off and live a joyous life.
Thank you. Another question from the chat. I would like to ask about the need for protection spiritually going forward.
No, you do not need protection spiritually going forward at all. You can, if you have some level of fear of some sort of potential of harm coming to you, use any form of enchantment or manifestation of a level of protection We would say, however, that this is a way to also tell yourself and the universe that you do believe that there is something external to you that could harm you, that you do believe that you, on spirit level, are not all that is. You are a portion of it, and therefore vulnerable to the other portions of it. We would retain that you are not vulnerable on any level to yourself as the all that is. But it does require dismantling of any beliefs that you have that you might be. So have patience with yourself as you dismantle these. You can pray or affirm or visualize anything that feels good to you. But it is not necessary on an ultimate level, because everything that is benevolent. Everything that is here for your benefit, whether it seems malevolent or not. Those things that you believe to be negative are simply here to remind you of how powerful you truly are. Can you please let us know how many more questions are wanting to be asked?
There are 4 more questions.
Yes, we will handle these 4.
Okay. Tegan, you're up.
Hello. I hope you can hear me all right.
Yes.
Perfect. So I have a question around the topic of parenting. I have a desire to essentially honor my children and who they are and who they came here to be and their desires and needs, while simultaneously balancing my own preferences, desires, values. And so, like, if I give a really brief example, I don't value a lot of screen time and I don't know its value in my children's life. But I know one of my children loves screen time and thrives in certain interactions with screen time. And, I guess it's the perception of, is there a belief that I'm holding about how things should be that I need to address and surrender so as to honor him and who he came here to be without imparting any of my own conditioning. And I know that any conditioning would be what we both wanted on a higher level. But I guess, I feel like my role isn't to shape them into who I want them to be, but honor who they came here to be, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, the good news is they will be who they came here to be, despite whatever it is you do. So if you have a preference for whatever rules or regulations you put into your home, then you will see very quickly that that situation will evolve on its own. Either what you will have is someone who does respect the rules, or someone who doesn't, or you will find yourself having to unplug all of your screens and throw them out the window to enforce this rule. We do not believe this will be the case, as you do believe in moderation and you do believe that there is the ability to do both. Please remember that you are never looking for this or that solution in your experiencing with other beings, but a this, that, or the other. And if you cannot see the other now, the other will be shown to you and presented to you. Do not worry, you are not inflicting your belief systems on them. As you know, your children will only be under your guard for a certain amount of time. It is a fraction of their entire life existence. And in having you as a parent, you might be the mom that they go to school, if they eventually go to school, and say to the other kids, my mother is so lame, she does not even let me watch television. And everyone in the class will laugh, and oh, and behold, suddenly your son has wonderful friends. So you do not know what your choices are leading to. You can only honor the choices that come through you, while acknowledging that, yes, this other being does have a preference. You will notice that this will evolve over time. And as you said, if it does seem that this is a thriving situation in certain environments, then you can also come to compromise. This is also a learning experience for you, to learn the art of negotiation. As these humans get older, they will become very good at negotiating with you, whether it be through kicking and screaming on the floor, or it be through finding out the fact that you are slightly insecure about your parenting. And in that, you can allow yourself to say, you know what, I do not really need to figure all of this out. It will naturally evolve because I am not the only one in this agreement and in this soul contract. These beings too will find their way to communicate with me from a soul level as to what game exactly it is we have decided to play with one another.
Great, thank you.
We thank you.
Joel, you're up.
Hey,
Hello.
very nice to see you again.
And you?
Thank you. I was wondering how you see the what we've called the Elohim or the Elohim, and how they relate to the Melchizedeks and the Great White Brotherhood.
We see it as all equal and more pressing than that. When one has connection with specific groups, whether it be by interest or direct contact, curiosity, imagination, whether it be things such as which you speak, or it be, for example, the characters in a novel, the overreaching and overarching reality of those things is not so much in existence, especially in the case of beings who are partially physical, partially non-physical, such as humans, such as the beings you speak of. And the case is that the collective archetypes or consciousness of these groups is what's important in the way it impacts on, say, said human. To speak of these things at any level of specifics from where we perceive of would be to cement perceptions that are not at all solid. So the short answer is we will not talk to this question directly, but that your perception of these beings, as always, if feeling in alignment is correct, and wherever it is not in resonance with you, can be let go of.
Okay. Thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you. Steve, your turn.
Thank you. Hello, Vagrein.
Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you again. I have a very happy life. I'm very happy in my existence, but I'm curious to know how far ahead one can predict when one will transition from this phase of existence, the next phase of existence, you know, to shuffle off the mortal coil, as I think William Shakespeare said. Can you give any guidance on that? It's not something that I am planning to do imminently, but I'm curious to know about it.
So you can predict it 100% in advance. You asked how long in advance you can predict it. You can actively choose when it is that you would like to leave, but you are also in a timeline that is constantly shifting. New things are being offered to you in every moment, and many of these new things could influence the speed in which you would choose to make transition. Perhaps in a timeline you find that you've learned everything it is that you would like to learn on a particular subject, and then you choose to transition. Perhaps in another timeline you say, well, you know what? Things are not looking like they're heading towards my preference anytime soon, and actually I'm more interested in exploring some other level of spiritual existence. And then you head off to your next experiencing. There are many different ways that you choose in each now moment when your transition will be. But you can also consciously choose that, for example, it will be in many years' time. And simply by continuing to refuse any information that is to the contrary of that, and having your self remain steadfast in that, can make great progress towards that goal of having a specific date or number in mind. As you know, there are also beings who do get the permission slip to know, for example, that they will be here now for the next 3 months and then they will be heading off. So it is very variable. And if that is something that is interesting for you to have that information, then you can, we would say, simply choose when it is you would like to have that be the case. For example, if you decide that you would like to be very healthy up until the age of 120, as our vessel has often stated in some of a comic form, but still, that was the number and that is what is being stuck to. Then it is very likely that one of two things will happen. Either the prediction will come true or it won't. And either way, it will be you who ultimately decides if that is the case.
Great. Thank you very much.
We thank you.
Okay, Otto, last question.
Oh boy. So how important is it for us to think, feel, and speak highly of ourselves?
It is of the utmost importance. If you cannot think highly of yourself, do not think of all. If you cannot speak highly of yourself, do not speak at all. And if you cannot feel highly of yourself, well, then keep feeling until you can. Because all that it means is that there is something within you that is incorrect. And if it is incorrect, it also means that those feelings that are coming up for you will be showing you that it is incorrect. In other words, if you are not able to love yourself or speak highly of yourself or think highly of yourself, it is because there is some confusion within you that has told you that the other option is safer, that the other option is more worthy of love, or the other option is protecting you in some way. As soon as you understand that these are misunderstandings and you begin to let them go, then you naturally begin to think highly of yourself. You naturally begin to speak highly of yourself. You naturally begin to put yourself in the position of importance that the universe itself has put you in. You would not exist if the universe did not want you to exactly as you do. Therefore, anytime you do not speak highly of yourself or you do not think highly of yourself, you will be hit with the emotional guidance system that says you are completely off the mark. Much of the hatred you see in the world, much of the anger that you see in the world, much of the violence that you see in the world is specifically because people do not love themselves. And in their not loving of themselves and the running away from the feelings that that causes because it is out of alignment so deeply with the universal laws, they look for reasons and ways to get away from the pain they are feeling inside of themselves. And it is confusion to say that the reason why I am feeling pain in this now moment is because someone else is oppressing me, is because someone else has done something wrong to me. No, it is because you have not yet, in the face of oppression or in the face of something going wrong, been able to say, actually, I deserve better, and I will set boundaries, loving boundaries that will show the other being that I do know in my heart of hearts that I am worthy of the love that is coming towards me at all times in every moment of every day. So thinking and feeling and speaking highly of yourself is one of the most important key factors to feeling good and to living a wonderful life. And we believe that this is a perfect way to sign off this session. We are sure that there are no more questions. Is that correct?
Well, so if one were to use the I am that I am in a rant sort of thing, like I am love, I am happy, I am, and go on and go on and go on with that, that would be a very beneficial thing to do.
Yes, and if you can cap that off with laughter, then it would be even more functional.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
We thank you. We have enjoyed entirely this session with you. We are thrilled to have had these questions, we do see how they have woven a tapestry within each other so as to give a foundation for moving forward, as we said, as the lighthouses in the individuated grid lines that you each find yourself in the awakening of the planetary consciousness, in the awakening of the collective consciousness as beings within this planet, both respecting, yes, the humans and the planet itself, looking for those beaches to clean, looking for those moments within ourselves to clean. And we wish you all the light and the love of 1,000 suns. A 9-9. Hi, guys. It's good to see you all. I hope I recorded like the first person perspective, because otherwise the editing is going to be like, oh no, I have to like zoom in on my face. It moves all around the editing. But we'll see what happens when I get the recording. How was that?
Very good. Very good.
Great, great, great. So happy. It feels good. They did go a little over than than they usually do. So thank you guys for sticking around for the extra amount of time. I hope everyone felt good about the questions. I did flag some questions that they kind of wouldn't answer. There were a couple people in there that were like, we're not answering that. So sorry, I hate when that happens. It makes me so nervous in my little shell. I'm like, oh no, they're doing the thing where they won't answer the thing. And that always makes me crazy. And it always has to do with like aliens or what there's about politics, they're gonna get around those particular topics pretty frequently, which is I don't know if that's me and not being like open enough, or if that's really just what they touch on or don't, or explain in their own ways. So thank you all so much for being here. I wanted to mention, because I'm not sure everyone opens my emails, that I've got a retreat coming up in June. So from June 20th to June 23rd, I'm organizing a retreat here in Italy in a town, and it really is a town because it's pedestrian. We'll call it a town. It's probably classified as a city, but it's called Terme. And right in the middle of this town is this fountain, comes right out of the piazza. And I don't know how old the fountain is. Chantal, I wish we had done like research and like had like all the history notes, but right in the middle of town, there's this like ancient fountain that comes up, and out of this fountain comes this boiling sulfuric water because it's running under this village. So I think it probably is like a ley line or something. I would be curious if, I know a couple people in here are interested in that. I'd be curious if it's like sitting right on a ley line, as many Italian towns are. So every day we're going to be doing, I think it's like 3 or 4 Vagrein sessions. We're going to be going for dinner every night at amazing restaurants nearby. We might be going to the thermal baths, which would be really cool if they open them on time. And the whole thing's being held in this seminary, like an old convent. It's not, is it a convent? I don't know what a seminary is. It's like where the priests or the monks used to study. And really, the way this retreat came together was like, I'd been wanting to do a retreat, and then I was on holiday. And I went to go see Terme. And I'm walking down the street, and I walk literally into, there was no sign even, just like a hotel sign, but it wasn't a hotel. I walk into the seminary, I open up the door, and I just start talking to this woman. And I'm like, do you host events here? Right? And my boyfriend was outside. He's like, he didn't even know where I went. He was like, where did she go? He was taking photos. He's like, where is she? And in the space of like 5 minutes, I got this woman to show me the whole location and found this beautiful room, and everything's just been falling into place. So I wanted to invite those of you, because there are a bunch of you here already signed up. Those of you who are not yet signed up for that, there's only 8 spots left, and to check out the website to find out more about that, because I would like to get that all. I'm still like Vagreinized. All filled up and have you guys, invite you guys to check it out. So that is going to be super cool. And the other thing is that it's on the summer solstice. So we're going to be doing a lot of like really cool calling in the light, and it's all about finding the theme of the retreat, from what I understand from Vagrein, is that it's all about finding how your individuation is the light itself. Like, what is your gift? What is it being called through you? Why are you here, really? And I know that's a big ask for a retreat of 3 days, but it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Chantal is going to be there. She is a yoga instructor, so she's going to be doing all the yoga stuff, and we're going to have such an amazing time. So do check it out. I was trying to type in the link in the chat and then got distracted. Okay. That's right. Okay, so you guys can, I probably spelled that wrong. Anyway, it's www.jpherman.com/Vagrein retreat. And I'd love, if you guys would consider coming, I'd love to have you there. What else? Yeah, I don't know. What else, Chantal? What have we got coming up? Nothing at the moment. There's nothing on the calendar. We've got nothing coming up. So do check that out. What else can why don't you guys tell me how the session went? If anyone wants to stick around, tell me how it went just now.
I thought it went really well.
Great. Perfect.
Yeah, I did too. Would you be holding more of these sessions?
I would like to, and I do enjoy doing them, but I don't schedule them that far in advance. So, you'll be getting the email and knowing, eventually I will, because I know I owe people some tickets. So definitely will at some point, but I don't know if it's going to be February or March. Probably won't be too long between them, but I tend to do about one a month.
Looking forward to that.
Oh, great. Yeah. I mean, I love them too. They're a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah. I like connecting with you guys. Like, I don't get to connect in this kind of way. And I love also that you guys get to connect with each other. Like, I know it's like there's not much of a social time together, but everyone on a call like this is your star family. Like, it has to be, because why would Vagrein's kind of niche. Like, they're not really like mainstream. Everybody knows and relates to them. So anyone who's here already is really similar to you in the way that you guys think and feel. And I know that, like, from working one-on-one with many of you here, that you're all very similar. So to me, to see you guys together, it's like, it's beautiful, because you're all like, first of all, we are all on the same journey. And, I can also feel into who I work with, that we're often all sort of, I think someone asked about astrology. Who was it? Micheline? Yeah. We're sort of all being impacted by the collective fields or whatever in the same ways. Everyone's going through something really interesting the past couple months. And, Micheline, I hadn't heard about whatever it is you were talking about. What were you talking about with Vagrein?
I was actually saying that everybody's talking about Pluto going into Aquarius. And are the planets having effects on us? And then we hear of solar flares, and part of the galaxy. Are there any other energies coming our way?
Yeah. Well, everything big seems happening right now. I don't know. It's like, gosh, I don't know. Past couple years and the past couple months. It's like the past couple years were already fast enough. Now the past couple of months is like, why is everything so fast? Yeah.
It's true.
I just want to have another nap. That's all I do all day. If I'm not working, I'm napping. Like, it's really gotten to that point. I'm in bed most of the day. So, yeah.
That's why you're gonna live to 120.
Well, yes, and they were making fun of me in the session, weren't they? They were like, "Why does she keep saying that?"
It was joyful fun.
The only reason why is because I figured out I'm going to be 120 in 2100, and I thought that was just so cool. So I was like, yes, definitely. Like, of course, that's what's going to happen. I have to. That's exactly how it's going to work out. So, I think that's awesome. I think my math is right. Gosh, if I find out that's wrong, I have a problem. But yeah. So that's what I've been saying for a long time now. And then, like, when I have health things, I'm like, that's weird. How am I going to get through the next 80 years with this? Like, I got 80 years to go. I need my body to be in tip-top shape. It's like, I can't have bleeding gums. I don't have time for
Otto
this.
got us the answer to that at the end there.
What did they say?
It was our positive self-talk and
Oh, okay, yeah.
Self-love.
I need this. I either need them to invent actual cyborg bodies, or just transfer, plug my consciousness into something else. Then that can live to 120, or just really take very good care of myself. which is an option, I guess. It's just not, you know, not always the funnest option, is it? Yeah.
I feel like that's why we have pets too, to remind us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of which, I should actually get off to the pets and go cuddle with them. So thank you all for being here so much, and it's been lovely
thank
to
you too.
see you.
Thank
And I
you,
hope
Jess.
to see you again at the next one. So
you.
stay tuned.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, the next
Thank
one.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Jess.
See you, Mike.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.